Top 20 car detailing mistakes to avoid when washing your car. So what's up guys, welcome to another episode of Pan the Organizer. So today, I'm sharing the mistakes that are commonly made when people wash their vehicle, whether it's a car, an SUV, an RV, or a truck. And so you're gonna bring your detailing game to the next level with these tips, tricks, and hacks. And also, you're gonna impress your friends, your family, or whoever's in your life that enjoys taking care of their vehicles. And I'm gonna also explain why those things are to avoid when washing your vehicle, because when we understand what we're doing, well, we're gonna get much better results, right? And the whole purpose of this video is to help you guys enjoy detailing your vehicles a lot more. I think it's a soothing and relaxing thing. Oh, and by the way, before we start with tip number one, I'm gonna ask you, what is one tip or trick that you guys wanna share with my audience? Drop a comment in the comment section under the video. So let's dig right into it with tip number one, avoid using dishwashing liquid to wash your car. So using dishwashing liquid is a wives' tale. Do not do that. The reason being, they typically are higher pH formulas, so they're on the alkaline side. And so what they do, they're strong degreasers, right? Keep in mind that usually use those to wash dishes. So they're strong degreasers to remove all that dirt and grime from the dishes. And that can have a negative effect if you use that on your vehicle. Not only will it dull the paint if you use it multiple times or very often, but you can also strip any existing protection that's on your paint, specifically any waxes or paint sealants. So keep that in mind. We always recommend using a pH neutral car shampoo, so something that's dedicated for automotive use. Tip number two, always read the instructions on the label of the product that you're using. Now, that might seem straightforward, right? But I know a lot of you guys watching this video are guilty of this, and I include myself in that. Sometimes we buy a new product, we get excited, and we start using it right away before reading the proper instructions. Keep in mind that the chemists that are formulating these products in their labs, well, they go through a bunch of tests, and they come out with these instructions to make sure that the end user gets the best possible experience. So, for example, there are products that can be used in direct sunlight, others can't. We want to know if there's any curing time of the product on the paint. So is there any time that it doesn't need to be exposed to water or rain? What's the quantity of the product that you're using? Is it 1 or 2 sprays per panel or 4 sprays per panel? How do you wipe it off? What is the best method? Is there any dilutions that you need to do for the product? Basically, take the time to read those instructions. It will not only make your lives a lot easier when using the products, but you'll have a better end user experience and you'll be a lot more satisfied with the results, and you're probably going to be more efficient at using the product itself. Tip number 3, don't over apply products. It's very tempting, right? Especially if you have a quick detail spray or a spray wax or a spray sealant, maybe a ceramic spray coating or any type of product for that matter, even a paste wax. Well, people have the tendency to often want to over apply. They want to make sure they get the highest possible gloss and the longest possible durability. So they think by layering a thicker amount that the product is going to last longer or that you're going to get better results. Well, that is completely false. It's actually the opposite. So usually less is best. Keep that in mind when you're detailing. The majority of the brands will tell you that. If you're over applying, you're also running into streaking issues, buildup issues. Always keep in mind that you're wasting less product as well. So if you're using only the quantity you want, well, in the long run, you're saving money. Tip number 4, wear adequate protection or PPE, personal protection equipment. So basically you want to protect your body as much as possible against the chemicals that you're using, because sometimes there can be some nasty stuff, right? So the at least first tip that I recommend is always wearing nitrile gloves when you're detailing. So that way, well, you're not in direct contact with the chemicals, and also you're not going to over dry your hands or create damage to your skin by using those chemicals in the long term. Now, some other equipment that you can wear glasses, of course, to protect your eyes from any splash, any spill, or any overspray. You can wear a mask, especially if you're using things like ceramic coatings or graphene coatings in those glass bottles, right? Those have a tendency to have, well, first of all, a lot of toxic fumes sometimes, but it can also be nasty to breathe in. You can also wear some protective ear cups for your ears if you're using a car blower or car dryer to dry your vehicle. Basically, yeah, use your common sense according to what you're using. waxing, but to be safe, your body's going to thank you in the long run, right? It's not immediate right away, the things that can happen, but it's the accumulation over the years that can be quite detrimental to your health as well. So take care of yourselves, guys. Tip number 5 is to avoid waxes or paint sealants on plastic trim. So we've all done that mistake when we started waxing our cars, right? When we were younger. So it's usually a liquid or in paste form, and then you're going to apply it on the paint, and then somehow a little bit rubs on to the black plastic trim, and that creates a white chalky residue that's hard to remove. If that happens, by the way, don't panic. An IPA paint prep, that kind of stuff can help remove it, or sometimes a magic eraser, but there are solutions to remove that. But the point being, you want to avoid the plastic trim when you're applying those kinds of paint protectants. So what you can do is use some masking tape around the plastic trim and moldings around your vehicle before you apply the protection, or when you're applying it, stay about an inch away from those trims and you should be good to go. Tip number 6, avoid washing your car in direct sunlight. Now, why is that? First of all, if you're washing your car in direct sunlight, the panels will be extremely hot, and the majority of car detailing products aren't necessarily designed to perform their best in direct sunlight, and some, well, you can't use at all in direct sunlight because of the adverse effects. So you can have the product streaking, you can have it drying too quickly and not bonding properly to the paint, or evaporating too quickly. It's going to be a mess to try and apply and remove, and you're not going to get a good user experience. So the majority of the products, if you read the labels correctly, they're going to tell you to avoid using in direct sunlight or to use on a cool and dry panel. So you want to make sure that you do that. Your experience will not only get better, but if you avoid detailing your car in direct sunlight, you're also avoiding potential water spotting issues. Now, we've all seen those before, right? If you washed your car in direct sunlight, you're finished rinsing it, and then you're starting to dry it off, but there's a bit of drippage, right? Always that comes out of door sills or door jambs or your mirrors, and or there's droplets of water that may be left on the paint. And once those dry, the minerals that are left behind, they evaporate and they create kind of this circle effect. Those are water spots, and those over time can etch through your clear coat and create permanent damage. So ideally, you're going to work in the shade, always on a cool surface. If you have access to a garage, even better, but you can do it outside. The tip is to work either very early on in the morning, try to avoid the noon time, that's where the sun is at its hottest and brightest, or even better, very late in the afternoon. So once again, towards supper time or maybe a bit later, as long as there's still a bit of daylight outside, go ahead and enjoy the moment. Believe me, you're going to have a much better car washing experience. Tip number 7 is to wash the car from top to bottom. So when you think about it, the bottom parts of your vehicle are usually the dirtiest. They're the ones that get exposed the most to all the dirt, the grime, the traffic film on the road, and that kind of stuff. And that's where usually there's more buildup. Same goes for the wheels as well, right? So those are in the bottom of the vehicle. So if you start washing your car from the bottom up, you're taking all that dirt, grime, and debris, and you're working it into the upper panels, which weren't as contaminated or dirty to begin with. So do the opposite. Start with the roof, the glass, the trunk, and the front portion of the vehicle or the rear deck, and then you move your way down. So the mid portions of the doors, and then you finish with the lower sills, the rocker panels, and the front and rear bumpers at the end. So that way you're not cross-contaminating each panel, and we're always doing this in an effort to minimize the chances of scratching and swirling on your paint, because the majority of those love marks that we call when we're washing the car, so those minor scratches and swirls that accumulate over time, well, they come from two things mainly: when you're washing your vehicle and when you're drying your vehicle. Basically, anytime you're having your hands touch the paint, that's when you're doing your contact wash. That's where you have an increase in chances of getting scratches and swirls if you're not using proper techniques and methods. So work your way from the top all the way to the bottom. Again, guys, I have many tutorials on my channel. At the point, if you're watching this video right now, we have over 650 videos on my channel, including how to properly wash your car. So you can always go check those out at a later time on my channel. Tip number 8, talking about washing your car, always start with washing and cleaning your wheels first. The reason being, the wheels are typically the dirtiest parts of your vehicle. Think about it. That's what is in contact with the road the majority of the time, right? Hopefully, if you're driving safely. So the tires and the wheels, take care of those first, because Think about it if you're doing the opposite. So when you're washing your vehicle and keeping your wheels and tires for the end, so you have a clean paintwork now, the car is clean, and then you're cleaning your wheels and tires and you get all that dirt and grime and that overspray potentially going back onto your paint and dirtying a portion that was already clean to begin with. So no, big recommendation, always start by cleaning your wheels and tires first. Get rid of that initially, and that way when you're going to your paintwork, there's no chances of throwing all that dirt back again onto the paint. Tip number 9, do not wash in circular motion. The reason being, if you're washing in a circular motion, you're increasing the chances of having swirls and scratches. So the swirl marks are those kinds of spider webs that you see, especially on darker paints. They're quite obvious and they're not nice to look at, right? So what I recommend is to wash in straight lines and in the direction that the wind blows. So that's easy to remember. So look at your car and look at the way the wind blows. So if you're looking at it from the side, you're going to be going left and right, and on the hood, well, it's a vertical motion on the hood again, but the way the wind blows. When you're doing straight lines, and be gentle, don't over apply too much pressure. Let your microfiber wash mitt do the job and the soap as well. They're there to encapsulate and lift the dirt and wash the car safely. So you're washing in straight lines, you're getting less chances of having those spider webs or swirl marks appear, and it's just a safer method to wash your vehicle. Tip number 10 is to avoid automated car washes. Now, there are car washes definitely you want to avoid, the ones that use roller brushes, right? Think about it. Those are typically made out of nylon or any type of material. Even if they say that it's super soft for the paint, they're still twirling around or swirling around at a very high movement or high pace. And those will induce scratching and swirling on your paint. Regardless what the car wash says, that is a guarantee. So you want to avoid those. You also want to avoid the ones that are contactless, right? That only throw water, because those too, they throw high pressured water that's way too high pressure for the paint, and that can help the dirt and grime to dig in further into your clear coat, potentially causing more damage as well. So you want to, usually if you're washing your car with a pressure washer, I recommend anything between 1,000 to 2,000 psi maximum. Don't go over that. That's too much pressure on the paint. And to know, well, put your hand in front of your pressure washer. If it hurts your hand, that's too much pressure. If it's fine, you know it'll be safe enough for your paintwork. Also, automated car washes, the reason I don't recommend them is because they use very high alkaline or high pH shampoos, because typically, well, the majority of them now are contactless. So think about it, if they can't remove the dirt with a contact wash, they have to use strong chemicals to pull the dirt off your vehicle. And those over time can not only dull the paint, but again, they can remove any waxes or paint sealants or start stripping or degrading the protection that's on there. Even if you have a ceramic coating that's much more durable than a traditional wax or sealant, it can still start to degrade that, and you're going to lose the hydrophobic properties and the durability will diminish as well. So always try and wash your car yourselves. If you can't, always use the services of a professional detailer. So not those cheap car washes, a $2 wash there, exterior kind of wash. Try to avoid those. Use a professional that knows what he's doing and that will take care of your vehicle well, if it was his own, or do it yourself and do it right. Tip number 11, don't use a chamois, a synthetic chamois, a real leather chamois, all that. Those are from decades ago. We stopped using those a while back. The new technology, the latest and greatest to dry your vehicle, is either use a car dryer or a blower, a leaf blower. That's fine. So you're not having any contact with your paint. That's the optimal situation, but those cost a bit more. So if you have a smaller budget, use a microfiber drying towel. So not any kind of microfiber. You need the ones that absorb a lot of water, and typically the ones that are used for drying vehicles are twisted loop kind microfiber towels. So they're the most absorbent types of microfibers. They have a thicker pile as well to absorb more water, and they're going to be the safest and most gentle option to dry your car. So either you're using forced air from a blower or car dryer, or you're using a microfiber drying towel, but one of those two methods are what is safest to prevent any scratches and swirls on your paintwork. Tip number 12, dry your car quickly after your final rinse. So once you're done washing your vehicle, you rinsed it, it's still wet. Don't waste your time, especially if you're working outside. Dry it quickly. Once again, you can use a car dryer or a leaf blower to dry your vehicle, or use a microfiber drying towel. If you use a microfiber drying towel, by the way, make sure that you use a drying aid. So it can be a quick detail spray, a spray wax, regardless what's compatible with the protection that you have on there. But use a drying aid because it's going to act as a buffer between your towel and the paint. So act as lubrication basically. So again, you're minimizing the chances of swirls and scratches. You're maybe going to pick up up any leftover dirt and grime that you potentially missed during your wash phase. And also you're going to add a bit of gloss and a bit of slickness, and the vehicle is going to look a lot better. So it's a double advantage of doing that. But yeah, dry it quickly, so that way you're going to avoid running into, yes, you guessed it, water spots that come from the sun, especially if you're working outside. So dry your car as quickly as possible. Tip number 13 is to degrease your tires before applying a tire dressing. So a lot of people run into issues after applying their tire dressing. They start driving and basically they have tire sling, so those black oily greasy dots that fly onto your clean paintwork, and that comes from the tire dressing. Why is that? Well, that's because the tires weren't prepped properly. So if you want the tire dressing to bond correctly to the tire, you got to clean those tires. And to clean the tires, you got to degrease them. So you have the choice of using an all-purpose cleaner or an APC at the proper dilution for your tires, or use a wheel and tire cleaner if you want something easier and remove the guesswork out of the dilution ratios. But basically you're going to spray that on, you're going to scrub the tire with a tire brush, you're going to rinse, and then do a second pass and see if that foam is white. If that foam is white, it means that your tires are properly cleaned. And once you're done washing and drying the rest of your vehicle and that your tires are dry, then you're going to apply your tire dressing, and it's going to bond a lot better. It won't give you any tire sling, and guess what? You're going to get more durability out of it. So don't just keep on applying tire dressing over tire dressing over tire dressing. You're going to run into buildup issues and you're going to get that disgusting tire sling. So if you want the max performance, max durability, degrease your tires before you apply the tire dressing. Tip number 14, clean your tools after you use them. So for example, once you're done washing your vehicle, take your wash buckets, rinse them out so they're ready for the next time. If you were using any detailing brushes, thoroughly rinse them under warm or hot water to remove any dirt and grime. You can also clean them with an all-purpose cleaner or let them soak overnight if they were used for some degreasing purposes or something that was maybe a bit dirtier. But make sure that you clean your tools thoroughly and properly. That includes any brushes that you were using to clean the tires, to clean the wheels, and that kind of stuff. And we'll dig into microfiber towels in a bit, but yeah, make sure you clean your tools so not only they're ready for the next time, but that you're not potentially harming the surfaces if you're using dirty tools on a vehicle for the next time that you're going to wash your car. Tip number 15 is to use dedicated microfiber towels for each task. Now, you're probably going to notice there are thousands of different towels out there and dozens of microfiber brands. Well, every microfiber company has different towels for different tasks. They're not all made the same, right? There's different types of GSM, of weight, types of fibers that are used. Do they have edges? They don't have any edges. Are they thicker pile, shorter pile? Are they tightly woven? Do they have any linting issues? Are they used to remove any waxes or sealants to apply a ceramic coating, that kind of stuff? So make sure that you use the towels appropriately for the use that you're looking into, and avoid using towels for tasks that, well, you shouldn't be doing. For example, if you have microfiber towels to clean dirtier wheels or tires, or for engine bay detailing, well, you're not going to use those in your interiors. So have dedicated towels for your tasks, keep them separate, and that way you're going to avoid cross-contamination between different types of surfaces, and again, you're going to get better results in the end. Tip number 16 is to clean your microfiber towels and your microfiber wash mitts correctly. That is very important. Now, there are a bunch of tutorials on that. I have a few microfiber cleaning tutorials on my channel if you want to check that out more into depth, but basically, you can wash them in warm or hot water if you want, that's fine. If they're not that dirty, use cold water. But when you're washing them, do not use any bleach, any dyes, any scent additives, and that kind of stuff, and especially no fabric softener. That is key. You don't want to clog the fibers of the microfibers because you're going to render them useless in the future. So wash them properly, and ideally, you want to use something like a Tide-free or an all-free or a dedicated microfiber towel cleaner. So there are many out there that are good quality. So a microfiber detergent, those are probably my favorite. And another quick tip, when you're drying your towels, it's important to use low heat or no heat. Never use the highest heat possible. You're going to destroy the fibers. The microfibers have a melting point because they're made of polyamide and polyester. So basically types of plastic, right, that are woven into fibers. Well, if you're using too high temperatures, you're going to melt those fibers and they won't be efficient anymore at picking and trapping dirt when you're using them to clean surfaces. So use low heat or no heat. Ideally, you want to tumble dry or air dry, depending on which functions you have, or you can dry them on a rack and let them air dry. That's fine as well. Also, avoid using dryer sheets in your dryer, so no fabric softeners, because again, those are going to go into the pores or into the fibers, coat those fibers, and you're making them, well, inefficient because they're not going to have that static cling anymore. And basically by coating those fibers, well, they're not going to be as good as picking the stuff up. So again, you're going to have to toss them in the trash. Tip number 17, avoid using glass cleaners that contain ammonia. So typically, your Windex type glass cleaners that you use in your household, those contain ammonia, and that can be very detrimental, especially if you have tinted film. So when you're cleaning the glass on the inside, that's where the tinted film usually is. Well, if you have an ammonia glass cleaner, well, that's going to destroy the tint over time, and you can potentially run into streaking issues as well. So use high quality automotive grade glass cleaners. They're always ammonia free unless stated otherwise. Tip number 18, don't use dusters to clean your paint. So I'm not going to mention any particular brand, but I'm sure you guys have seen them. Those brushes that have bristles that are supposed to remove the dust off your paint. Never do that. We always avoid dry rubbing the paint. That is super important, or what we call dry wiping, because think about it, all that dirt that's on the surface, well, those are particles that are going to dig into the clear coat if you're swiping them around, if you're thinking that you're removing them, but actually you're dragging them, and that can create scratches and swirls. So don't do that. If you're at a car show and your car is clean and it just has a bit of dust and you want to remove that dust quickly and safely, well, the minimum to do is at least use something like a rinseless wash diluted in a proper form, depending on the one that you're using, or again, a waterless wash or a quick detail spray, but basically some sort of lubrication that you're going to spray on the surface and gently wipe with a plush microfiber towel in one direction, roll and lift immediately, switch to a clean and dry side, and so on and so forth. You want to avoid dry rubbing at all costs. Tip number 19, do not let your detailing products freeze. So if you have to store them in the winter, and let's say your garage is not heated, don't leave them there. You don't want them to freeze. They'll become inefficient, and you're potentially going to kill the active ingredients in there. Chemicals are very sensitive to temperature, and that's why often on the bottles, if you read the labels correctly, they're going to say to store in a cool and dry place. So typically, you're going to store them ideally at room temp, so anywhere between 20 degrees Celsius or that 68 degrees Fahrenheit. You can give or take a few of those degrees. So if you don't have a heated garage, well, the trick is bring them into your home. Do not let those products freeze. And also keep in mind that the majority of the car detailing products are made to last about a year to 2 years on shelves if kept in stable conditions and never frozen. Tip number 20, do not leave bug guts or bird droppings on your paint without cleaning them off as quickly as possible. So if you went for a drive and you have tons of bug guts, especially when it's bug season, right? Those bug guts are acidic in nature and will eventually etch through the clear coat if they're left there to bake in the sun, especially if your car sits outside and you don't attend to it. Well, they're going to damage your clear coat. And the same goes for bird droppings. So that bird poo splatters onto your paint. Some people just leave it there until they wash it the next time, right, in 1 to 2 weeks. Well, those bird droppings also are acidic in nature, and with the contact of the elements, or if they're in the baking sun outside, or even if they sit inside and left unattended, they're going to start to eat through the clear coat or etch through the clear coat and leave permanent damage or stains that you can't remove. So if you see those bug guts, wash your car. Don't leave it there. Or if you see those bird droppings, wash your car as quickly as possible. The minimum that you should do is to at least remove those bird droppings with a quick detail spray or some sort of rinseless wash. Spray on there, let it dwell a bit to soften that up. Pick it up with a clean and dry microfiber towel that's plush enough or thick enough to do the job without leaving any damage. And at least you've addressed that spot. But ideally, if you see any bug guts or bird droppings, you want to wash your car as quickly as possible. So the more you maintain your vehicle, the better it's going to look over time and the less damage it's going to have. So all these tips, guys, were made for you to enjoy your detailing game and to improve your detailing game and bring it up to the next level. If you have any people that you know, by the way, who love taking care of their cars or washing their cars, share this video with them, flip it over to them and tell them to watch them. I'm sure they're going to learn at least something new and something to take home and apply in their own detailing routine or regimen. What did you guys learn today, by the way? What was your favorite tip or trick? Let me know in the comment section. And if you have tips and tricks to share with my audience, let me know. Again, drop a comment in the comment section, like, share, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, Once again, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you guys on the next one.